In this video, I'm going to show you how to use video analysis in Logger Pro 3.16. I'm using a Mac. Now, one of the things I want to point out is in previous versions, you used to be able to go to Insert and Video Capture and let your computer actually directly into Logger Pro collect the video. As you can see here, with the recent changes with Mac Catalina and a few other pieces, QuickTime no longer directly works with Logger Pro. So what they've done is they've improved their platform so that you can import better or a greater variety of videos. And in this case, what I've done is I've still used my computer to collect my video, and then now I'm going to import it. So I'm going to go Insert, Movie. Okay, so here's my video. I did a bouncing ball. Now, a couple things I want to point out about this video. First of all, that you need your object in front of your screen. You need to make sure, if you're doing it with a laptop, that your screen is vertical. So what we need to do is be able to see that it's going perpendicular to your screen, because all that this video can do is say, hey, I can see the changing ball. Now you can see right here I have a object against the wall as well, so they're in the same plane. I happen to know that this is 28 centimeters tall, and so that then gives me a scale to know how high the ball is. What we can do, I'm going to go down to the bottom corner. This means I want my analyzing tools to be shown, and I'm going to put my scale in there. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to leave this in meters so that whenever I do my analysis, I don't have to worry about changing from centimeters per second into meters per second. So it is 0.28 meters tall. So that means any of the distances that the video analysis will now collect for me will be based on this scale. And that's why it's important that the scale is in the same plane as the object. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to now put points on my video. You can see here, it popped up, it said add point. Now, I'm going to have to be consistent here. I'm going to choose the bottom of the tennis ball. The reason being is it's the part that hits the ground. So every time I add a point, I'm going to click on the bottom. Now, I'm not going to start yet because when I did this video, I had to do it myself, so there's a lag time before the movie starts and my video plays. Let me just click play for now and I'll show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, go back to video, and I'm going to advance a few frames at a time until I see the ball starting to move, because that will be my time 0. There it is. Alright, so I'm going to go and I'm going to hit the bottom of the ball and I'm going to click and it adds a point. Notice that it automatically moves to the next frame for me. I'm going to again hit the bottom of the ball. Now look what's happening. The ball doesn't look as a nice round shape anymore, and that's because it's moving so fast compared to the video that I've been creating. You can learn about yourself how to do this with a slow motion camera and then import it. You just have to take your values and adjust for the different frames per second. So I'm still trying to always do the bottom of the ball. Must be hitting the ground right there. Notice it keeps putting little dots on here for me. Oh, and why is it nice and clear? it must be at the top of the bounce and it's not moving at this point. Yep, it's starting to come down. I'm going to continue putting all the little dots on here to the end of the video. I'll speed it up for you. Okay, so I've put all my dots in here. Now, a couple of things to point out. I'm not going all the way to the end because, it's going to get harder and harder. Now, you might say, well, that's not very accurate because look at how bad some of the pictures were. It wasn't as a round ball. But if you think about it, if you look over here in my data, it's actually putting time in here. I'm going to move over to the columns so you can see the time. How much time is in between each dot. So even if each one's not perfect, I'm still getting a much better, more accurate and precise value than if I was trying to do this with a stopwatch. Okay, so you can see then every time I put a dot, it's measured what time is it on the frame, my X position, and my Y position. Now you can see that it has slowly moved over here to the left. So it's again not perfect, but it hasn't been that far if you take a look. Also calculated the X velocity and the Y velocity. It's done that by doing the change in distance over time, assuming it's basically moved in that short period of time, a fairly constant speed. And that is fairly accurate given how short of a time it is. So it's trying to get as close to an instantaneous speed as possible. So what can we do with this? Well, let's take a look at our graph. Now, for some reason, you can see on here the dots that I just placed and that scale. I'm not sure, this didn't happen in previous versions, and it might just be because of our OS I'm using on my Mac. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to hit page. I'm going to add a new page on top, which is exactly the same. Copy current page. Look, it just disappeared. You can do, just like you can have multiple charts or things like that in Excel, you can do multiple pages here as well. Okay, so first of all, which is the one I'm really interested in? It's not this slight moving to the left. You can see it's plotting for me automatically X and Y versus time. So I'm going to click on here. In this case, I actually only want the Y values. Normally we don't do this, but in this case, let's go ahead and do this. Let's play connect the dots, graph options, and let's connect the points just to make it obvious and stand out for everybody who's watching. Okay, so here's what's happened with my Y values over time. You can see that the amplitude or the maximum height it's reaching is decreasing each time, and that's because energy is being given off in terms of sound, in terms of heat. Okay, so what kind of things can we do with this? Well, let's say I was asked to calculate the acceleration due to gravity. Now, we can see that this is a curve, and we know on a distance time graph, curve means that it's accelerating. So if I want to get acceleration though, I need to change to my velocity time graph. And if I click from here to here, it is accelerating that entire time. It's going from a very fast speed to 0 to falling back down. So this is the first bounce. So that is the first height. This is the second bounce. If I take this, just this area then, it's going from being released down to the ground. So if I go to Analyze, Curve Fit, it should be a straight line because my acceleration is constant at that point. tri-fit, okay. And so here's how we can get the gradient of just a small area. You can see that I'm getting a slope of 9.2, which is pretty close to the 9.8 we'd be expecting. I hope that helps you be able to analyze and move through some different graphs using Logger Pro for video analysis.